Just like I don't want to use AI search in a web browser because you're basically making sure that people don't click on your links anymore for
Yeah.
a variety of questions. Like for small stuff, like when is this game releasing? I would rather have the search engine tell me directly instead of having an article that has 20 paragraphs that recaps what the game is,
Yeah, yeah.
when it has been announced, and then the information you're looking for is right at the last line after 10 ads. Like, come on, no. Of course, like you deserve to not have clicks on your links. But
Yeah.
for a lot of super informative stuff, I think it's also an issue. Like recapping content that you have no right to and displaying it this. And you can argue that's what I'm doing in my
Mm,
news videos, for example. Like I'm grabbing a news article, I'm
mm,
showing it, and I'm recapping it myself. So is it the same thing? Is it fair use? It's really tough to know, and it
mm.
needs to be determined for AI as well, I guess.
I can't remember who said it, but couple of days ago, I saw someone say that this new AI search that we're seeing is sort of it's going to kill the internet in a in the long run. Basically, if these websites that are writing all these articles don't have people going to them, you're not going to have this text to actually base these
Yeah.
search models on. So it's sort of it's spelling its own demise just by existing. I think that might be a bit extreme, but I know there are some countries that are trying to make Google and make other search companies actually pay royalties for using that
Mm-hmm.
information. I know this came up a while back with Google News, I think it was,
Yeah.
where Australia
Mm-hmm.
they tried to make Google and these other I think it was Google in this case. Maybe it was Facebook. One of the big companies.
No, I think it was Google News in Australia, and I think it's also happening in Canada
Mm-mm.
right now. Like they shut down Google News for a bunch of people as a trial
Mm-mm.
because there's a law that is probably going to pass there. And in France and in the EU, we have had that discussion over and over and over again. Every government that comes in is like, should big tech and just the search engines pay for the content they base themselves off? And it's a hard argument. It's complicated.
I think when it was just listing out the articles, I think then it was kind of ridiculous. I didn't agree with charging them then. But
Yeah.
if we are going down this route of taking the text from that article and formulating this longer answer, I think then there is a legitimate case for charging these companies for
Yeah.
putting that information out there.
Well, if you take the definition of fair use in the US at
Mm.
least, it needs to have no or very little commercial impact for the content that is being used.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could argue that using a full-on article that's been written by a human, summarizing it with an AI on a massive scale, has an economic impact for the website because it's not getting any more clicks,
Mm.
basically, or a lot less. And so there's no incentive to go to this website, and so it's not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea how it could go. And again, it's going to be different for every country.
Yeah.
But I really want regulators to look into it and to define what is ethical,
Mm-hmm.
what is copyright infringement or not. Is there a compensation to be made for things that are used to train the AI? I think it needs to be settled. The
Mm-hmm.
current scope is not well defined enough to know if it is or not.
Yeah, as it stands, I don't know if you've even noticed, but basically all the big search engines now have it. Like even
Yeah.
Brave and DuckDuckGo have their own
Yeah.
AI search. I don't know how they work on the back end. I don't know what they're using because they sort of spawned out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think
Because I know that Google has
DuckDuckGo, I read it. They use ChatGPT
that makes
and an
sense.
offshoot of ChatGPT. Google, it's their own
Yeah,
thing.
Google has Bard and
Yeah.
Bing. I guess
It's
Microsoft has
ChatGPT as
ChatGPT.
well.
But
Yeah.
I assume that
Brave, I don't
DuckDuckGo
know
and
what they're
Brave,
using.
yeah, I
Yeah, I
assume they're
don't know
not
what they're
doing
using.
something completely custom because they're not
Would be
massive
surprising.
companies.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
don't think they would have the resources to train something at least at the same level
yeah,
of quality and reliability.
well, especially and just coming out of
Reliability.
nowhere, it just appeared.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think they're using open AI basically.
yeah, that would
Probably
make sense.
like the latest open source version because ChatGPT 4 is no longer open source. but they're probably sticking to ChatGPT 3 at least, which was still open at the time.